Okay, we'll continue explaining the main characteristics of the modal verbs. Uh, Here we see that modal verbs don't have all the tenses. Okay, what happens is they use other verbs to complete them. Okay, for instance, we have the modal verb can. Okay, which is completed with be able to. And we have an example here, okay? On the sentence, I play the piano, it's the present tense, okay? But what happens with the future? When we want to say that in the future, when we want to use this modal verb, we can't, because this verb, or modal verb, can, does not have the future tense. So we use be able to, okay? I will be able to play the piano in the future, okay? So again, sometimes these modal verbs use other verbs to complete them, okay? So we can use them in different tenses, okay? Now, let's talk about the function of the modal verb, okay? What do they express, okay? And that brings us to this. They can have more than one meaning, not all of them, but some of them have two or maybe three different meanings, okay? So again, they can have more than one meaning depending on the situation, okay? And again, we're going to talk about should, would, could, and can. Should, that one has one meaning, and it's used when we're talking about a recommendation or instruction, not necessarily a polite recommendation, because for polite recommendations we used could, and maybe we'll see that some other time. But we use should for recommendation, instructions, orders. Okay, you should go to the doctor. You should go to the doctor. Okay, that's, I guess we could say, it's a strong recommendation. Okay, it's not a polite recommendation. You should go to the doctor. Now, would, with this modal verb would, we have two meanings or two uses for this verb. First, we use it to refer to the past, as in used to. Okay, we have an example here. When I was young, I would play soccer. I don't play soccer anymore, but when I was young, I would play it. I would play soccer. Okay, and we can also use this would for present unreal. Okay, and unreal means it's not a fact, it can't happen, okay? I would buy the car, but I can't afford it. That means I don't have the money. If I had the money, I would buy it, but I don't have the money. That's why it is present, it's happening, but it's unreal. I mean, it's not possible. Why? In this example, I would buy the car, but I can't afford it. That means I don't have the money to do it. Now, the next one, could. Could is used to express for two different things. First, we have unreal ability. Okay, again, unreal, that means it's not possible, it does not exist. For instance, I could go if I had the time. I could go if I had the time. But the truth is, the reality is, I don't have the time. So that's why it's unreal ability. Now, the other use we have for could is past ability. Ability that we used to have, but not anymore. She could play the piano, but she can't anymore. Again, she could play the piano in the past, not anymore. Moving on to the next one, can, a very common verb. Most of you are very familiar with this. Now, when do we use can as a modal verb? It's used to express present ability, okay? Something that is real, that we can do, okay? We can speak English, okay? That's a fact, it's real, it's possible, okay? And we also use can for permission. Can I have a candy? Yes, you can, okay? So here is, we're requesting permission or we're giving permission. Like I said on the answer, can I have a candy? Yes, you can have a candy. Now, very quick, just closing. Negative form, very simple. The negative form, when we're talking about modal verbs, negative form is generally constructed by adding not or the contraction N apostrophe T, not or NT. I would not do that if I were you. I wouldn't do that if I were you. It's the same thing. You could use not, or you could use the contraction N apostrophe T, and it has the same meaning. Okay, and we could, as an example, change to the negative form some of the other examples we have. For instance, this one, you should go to the doctor. The way we would make that a negative form of the sentence is by, again, adding not or the anti-contraction. For it would be, you should not go to the doctor, or you shouldn't go to the doctor, okay? And then we can change some of these other examples, but because of the context of the sentence, we will have to change a part of the sentence as well. When I was young, I wouldn't play soccer, and we don't have to change anything other than adding not or NT. But on this one, I wouldn't buy the car, but with the rest of the sentence, it doesn't make sense, but I can afford it, so that does not make sense. If we were to change it to the negative, we could change, I wouldn't buy the car, and maybe we can say, even if I had the money. Okay, that would be a way to change it. On this one, she could play the piano. We're talking about, again, the past ability, and we could change that to the negative form by adding not or NT, and it would be, she couldn't play the piano, or she could not play the piano. And that's how you make a negative form using modal verbs.